even. It's always about sensing, measurement, visualization, mapping. It's always about analysis and modeling. From that, we can take conclusions, we can do decisions, which lead finally to actions. And again, the whole circle of the science of where that applies again. This is a fact that is important for all of you to understand, that we're not only about geography, it's also about where, location analytics, as we call it. Every one of us is working on it, and where in the past we were all working on our own system in our desktop environment, now we're going to a complete worldwide system where we have the ability of connecting to data, web applications, knowledge that we can share, packages we can share. So we're becoming, in fact, one global nervous network, and you're part of that. It's of course also about the infrastructure, the technology that enables us to do this. It enables us to work as an individual, to do detailed analysis, to work on big data sets, to do data science. But it allows us also to work in teams, to share our information, to share our results. It's within our organizations where we can create hubs so that we can inform our own community, but also the large public. So we're really moving in very interesting times at this moment. Applying ArcGIS means that we in fact support three fundamental systems. We support system of insights, where we can do analysis, where we can interpret data, where we can model also this data. It's about the system of records, where we have our basic data, but we can transform that data. We can combine different data sets, and we have a lot of accesses also to many different types of data, being it imagery, or being it big data, or being it real-time information. Our system can connect to all those. And of course, it's about the system of engagement. We'll need to spread our insights to all our users. We need to make sure that we can embed our applications within others. Example, if you're a utility company, you want to see your assets, but you want to be able to manage also your assets, to see them on the terrain, to know where you have to go to. That's a system of engagement. All being connected. Transforming the organization. That's one of the key elements of what we're all doing. It's creating responsive organizations. And in fact, today, this is more the case than ever, especially with the COVID-19. We all need to be very responsive. And so we need also to use the power of geography to understand what's happening, to inform everybody of what's happening, and combining all those informations in one big global system. Today, you'll learn from our team many different aspects about the platform. And if I can express a wish, I would really like to ask you, try it out. See what it can do for you, how it can help yourselves, but also interact, exchange whatever you have made, exchange your applications, exchange your data. That's exactly what the platform is intended for. Today, you'll learn much about all those different applications. It's about your GIS project that you're doing in ArcMap or in ArcGIS Pro. It's about mapping that information. It's about creating your layers. It's about publishing your layers. It's about visualization, but it's also about dashboards. It's about field applications. It's about survey, which you'll see also within this presentation, how to apply even crowdsourcing with the platform. So the platform is really delivering a lot of capacities, and we would like to inform you about that today. I would like also to take a little bit of the occasion to show you, now that you've probably have a little bit more time to really deep dive into what we offer also for you. You have access to many training materials. You have access to a lot of digital webinars, to documents, even to online trainings. We even have MOOCs at your disposal. Try it out and see for yourself. Learn within the next weeks. Follow us also. We're living in a digital time, and as Esri, we really want to push a lot of information to all our users, to your user communities, to you. It means that we're using digital channels, of course, to communicate that. So I would say, please follow us, please be our friend, but also, very important notice, we value your feedback. It means we really want to get feedback from you about how we can improve our relationship, how we can improve our community, how we can improve your working. I wanted to close with perhaps one element where I would like also to have a little bit of your support. We have launched a COVID-19 data hub here for Belgium. We have noticed that there was not much information spreading on the market. There was not much information that we had available. So we decided to create a hub where we push information. You can visit this hub at corona.sdbelux.com. Please give us your feedback. Secondly, if you have very beautiful ideas, or if you find some data or analysis that could be useful to share with the large public, please share it also with us. I think, again, we're living in a very special time, a very special moment. And it means that we need to be able to really interact in a digital way with each other. And I think that the ArcGIS platform is something that is really now helping us to do this. But again, we also need your help.
So I would like to present myself first. I'm Maxine Jonker. I just recently joined Esri Belux as a GIS consultant. So now I would like to share the most interesting things that there are to know about our software. And then later on, my colleague Rachel will explain to you what it can mean for you as a student. And my other colleague, Matthias, he will show a very interesting demo about his experience in Africa the last 4 years. So, welcome again. So, see what others can't. This is a bit the sentence of Esri Belux. Let's say this is what we stand for. So, what can we see with our software that others can't? So that's why I would already like to ask for your input. So what kind of software do you use at your school or personally? So you see here this QR code. You can scan it with your cell phone, or you can go to the URL on the bottom, and then you can find a small survey that we made with our own software, Survey 123. And it's just 4 little questions about the software you are using now, so ArcMap or ArcGIS Pro, AutoCAD, and so on. So we would very much appreciate it if you could fill in the survey right now, and then we can live see the results already. So this is very interesting for both us and you to see what we can do in the future to help you to know what type of software is still being used, how we can migrate to ArcGIS Pro. So please feel free to fill in the survey. And then I'll go to the results in, let's say, 2 minutes. So in the meantime, I can tell you that I also studied geography like a lot of you probably. And I graduated 5 years ago, and in that time I was actually only using ArcMap and AutoCAD, a little bit of Python. So I'm really curious about the evolution and what students are using today. So again, for people who maybe just joined, please feel free to fill in the survey by scanning this QR code or going to this URL and fill in our little survey. Already very much appreciated for filling it in. This will really help us in the future. And my colleague actually added the URL in the chat as well, so you can just click on it actually and then fill it in. Thanks for that, Adrien. Okay, let's have a quick look already. Oh, okay, that's quick. You guys are really quick. That's very nice. Let's see. So you don't have to stop filling in the survey. You can still fill it in, no problem. So we see most of the participants are actually from Hogeschool Antwerp. Let me just... Okay, somebody's microphone was on. No problem. Most of the students are from Hogeschool Antwerp, okay. And also a few from UGent. That's nice. So we actually see a lot of people still use Quantum GIS. That's okay. Actually, to be honest, I was also using it during my time. Of course, it's logical. It's open source. But okay, I'm happy to see that also a few are using ArcMap, and even 2 are using ArcGIS Pro. So that's good news at least. I'm just gonna refresh one more time. Let's see if there are more results. So we see quite a lot of schools represented today. Okay, so I see I'll need some convincing maybe today of why to use ArcGIS software and less maybe Quantum GIS. Okay, but no problem. I would very much like to do that. So let's continue with the presentation. So again, thank you very much for filling it in. Sorry. Okay, so our CEO, Frederik, already said a few words about Esri, of course, but I would like to emphasize our vision again. So GIS as an intelligent nervous system. So what do we mean by that? So our nervous system, it's a very important part of our body. It does more than just respond to stimuli. It can sense, understand, respond. It's an intelligent system. It integrates data from different sources, and it's most of all a learning experience. So you notice some similarities with GIS, right? So our world, on the other hand, resembles a living organism. It's a complex ecosystem, self-healing, it's always changing, and humans are part of it. So humans are indeed part of it, but we're actually creating a lot of challenges. So we're having overpopulation, loss of biodiversity, we're having a lot of natural disasters, and just look at the current problems now with Corona, for example. So we are creating an unsustainable future. So our world needs a nervous system, an intelligent and a responsive platform. So you can create more understanding, collaboration, and action. So in fact, geography, it's essential. The science of where. And then we mean a combination of digital geography and GIS. So it provides the framework and the process of doing this. You can measure things, you can visualize them, map them, analyze it, you can design it and plan it, and then you can respond to it by decision making or action. So it's the foundation for this geospatial nervous system, in fact. So this is a bit more in detail. What can we do with this software? So it's delivering powerful capabilities across different organizations. So you have GIS projects, so you can map, you can visualize your data, you can even use apps for field operations, you can analyze it, you can use it for data science, or you can create dashboards to view live data. So now a bit about ArcGIS history. So it all started in 1982 with ArcInfo. Maybe some of you recognize it or not. That's okay, because it was a very long time ago. But it was not really a user-friendly system. It was more about scripting and coding and not user-friendly. But then in 1999, ArcMap came on the market. Of course, everyone knows ArcMap, I assume. And it's still being used today. It's a very good software, but in 2015, ArcGIS Pro was developed, which is really a replacement for ArcMap, let's say, with some more capabilities already and much more user-friendly. But now we don't just talk about ArcGIS software in desktop version, we talk about a platform. It's much more than that. So this ArcGIS platform today, what does it mean? So you see here on the left, you see ArcGIS Pro and ArcMap, the desktop software. But then on the top, you see different icons. So these are apps that you can use in the field, for example. So some of them are the Survey 123 that everyone just used to fill in the survey. You also have Quick Capture or Collector, Tracker, and so on. And then you have developer skills to make apps even better or the software better, or to have more client based solutions, let's say. Then on the bottom, you see online and enterprise. So all these components, they are actually linked to each other in an ArcGIS Online or enterprise. Well, the difference is ArcGIS Online is in the cloud, it's online. So basically it's a server that is maintained by Esri itself, while an enterprise is a server locally installed. And it's being used by bigger organizations, for example, when you want to store larger data. So ArcGIS, it supports three fundamental systems. So you have the system of records, so data collecting, transactions, system of insights, where you can analyze the data, system of engagement, where you can view apps, maps, use them, and so on. And ArcGIS So can everyone hear me again?
Yeah.
Okay, I must have pressed the button. Sorry for that. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so I was just showing this amazing animation that you just missed. Let's go back. So, okay. So until now we were using ArcMap, ArcScene, ArcGlobe, different software packages to be able to visualize 2D, 3D, but this is all replaced now by one new software, ArcGIS Pro. So on the bottom you see my nice animation. It's a bit of a battle, you can say, between ArcGIS Pro and ArcMap. Why? Well, the intention is eventually that ArcMap will be replaced by ArcGIS Pro completely. Nobody knows exactly when, but it's gonna be quite soon. But of course, this is not done in one day. People need to have time to migrate, for their organizations as well, to migrate all their data. So obviously it's being done in steps. But of course, I would like to convince you why you need to migrate. So here you see 2x2 maps to show you the comparison between the two. So why is ArcGIS Pro so much better than ArcMap, according to our opinion? Well, first of all, it's just much more modern and fast. and it's way more user-friendly. So the second reason is it's project related. So what do I mean by that? If you look at the print screens of ArcGIS Pro, you can see there are different tabs here. So a project, it means that you can actually save multiple maps, layouts, scenes, whatever you want. So you can work in one project and view different maps at the same time. While in ArcMap, that's not possible. So it's really user-friendly in that way. Then the third reason is the easy integration with the platform, because as everything is built in a platform right now, you can easily drag info from ArcGIS Online or Enterprise into your desktop version or the other way around. So it's a really easy way of accessing that data. The fourth reason is that you don't need to worry at all about your data of ArcMap being in ArcMap, not being able to migrate it to Pro. That's no problem at all. So you can import a map, style, toolbox, model, Python script, whatever you want in ArcGIS Pro with just a few clicks actually. So a few reasons of migrating to Pro. This is again a bit of an overview. I'm not going to go through everything, but I just wanted to tell you that of course this software is constantly being innovated, being made better based on clients, their feedback. So now we're actually at the version Pro 2.5 and ArcMap also 10.8. The 2.5 is actually just released end of February. And like I said, it's always improving. ArcGIS Online. So more and more, Esri is also trying to make ArcGIS Online a better platform where you can do a lot of things like you would do in the desktop version. So you can also view data, you can even analyze it. And also recently we have this new beta map viewer, which is also much more modern, has a bit more capabilities than the normal ArcMap online viewer. Then out of the box, I like this slide. This is a slide with a lot of apps we have, not everything, but the most important ones. So these are really interesting apps that you, even as a student, you can just download them for free and you can start using them. Like Tracker, for example. You can track your own steps, figure of speech, and then you can view them online. So then you also have other interesting ones that you can use in the field when you want to do an exercise in the field, for example, for school or whatever. It's really nice, these apps. So, for example, because this is all really theoretical, let's say I am an office worker, I have an assignment that I want to give to my field worker, so then I can use the app Workforce. So you see that on the left bottom. So I use Workforce, I send out my assignment to the field worker, he gets a notification, and okay, he wants to get to work, so he uses the app Navigator to navigate to his job. He can also put on his tracker, so the office guy can see where he is. And then at the spot, at the location of the work, he can collect data with Collector or put it in a form, so Survey 123, or use Quick Capture, and so on and so on. So this Workforce I just mentioned, it's a very interactive program between field worker and office worker, where you exchange your data and location and so on. Story maps. Well, this is an interesting one. Everyone can make a story map. It's a very creative way of telling a story online, let's say, but I can explain you the best by just clicking on this link and show you one. So this is just a random one I selected that we made of Draft in Belgium. It has a lot of maps and images, but I just wanted to scroll to a map here to show you the interactive part. So this is a map, and I can even click on some parts and then a pop-up appears. So I can view some more information also here. So this is very easy to make without any programming whatsoever. So very user friendly. So let's go back. Then you have another one, Insights for ArcGIS. So this is a way of visualizing your data online and analyzing it at the same time with live data. It's a bit similar to ArcGIS dashboards, where at ArcGIS dashboards, you can only visualize your data, but in very different sort of ways. So graphs or maps or figures. But let's just show you one really popular dashboard right now in the world. Of course, what else? It's about Corona. But this is actually a really interesting dashboard. In case you didn't see it yet, because it's spread around on a lot of websites, just Google coronavirus Johns Hopkins University dashboard, and you will be able to see it. So these dashboards, they are updated really frequently. Last updated here on the bottom, it says 11:33, so 3 minutes ago. Don't know why it's not showing with me the red dots. Maybe it's consuming a bit too much of my internet. But okay, it's a recommendation. Just visit this dashboard as well as our own dashboard, of course, that Friedrich already mentioned, the Belgian version. So that's dashboards. Then, of course, you can also make your own web apps by starting from a template and personalizing it. Also, no programming is required here for. And then for the more technical guys amongst you, you can develop as much as you want in different apps or the software. Then what's next? So like I already mentioned to you, now we are at the version Pro 2.5 in ArcGIS Pro and ArcMap 10.8. So it has just been improved, but of course it never stops. So all these elements you see on the right, we will keep investing in them, let's say. So high topic now is the BIM 3D, LIDAR, remote sensing, and then working in the clouds, and so on and so on. And then, of course, Esri is also investing a lot in partnerships. Autodesk mainly, like I said, for BIM or 3D, so Revit or Civil 3D, if that rings a bell. But also Microsoft, like even in Excel or PowerPoint or Word, you can actually have a plugin to interface with ArcGIS. And SAP is also one of the partnerships. So it's a never-ending story. Then the education, that's why we're here, of course. So you are the future as students. So I quote, "You are the key to protecting natural world and living smart on the planet." So of course, that's why we're also here. We want to share with you some interesting information on how you can use this software right now. So that's why I'm gonna give the word to my nice colleague, Rachel. Rachel, I hope you're ready. Here you go. Yes.
Yes, hi everyone. Maxine, can I use your screen, please?
Yeah, of course. I need to.
Okay, so this has been a bit of an overview of what our products are, and so Maxine has talked a lot about the different software that's available. So it's no longer just a desktop application that is offered by Esri, but you might have noticed that we're talking about a platform and not just a specific application. And the reason why is that geographic information is nowadays everywhere. It used to be that only cartographers or specific professionals actually do make maps, but nowadays everyone carries a map on their phone, and yeah, and everyone is using, in fact, this information, and so the Esri offering, in fact, reflects this. So when it comes to students, we realize that it's important to also be able to understand what this offers in terms of, okay, so you are a mapper of some sort, you're a GIS professional, so how can you leverage modern technology, mobile phone applications, web applications, and also desktop in order to get the best out of your mapping. And so Esri supports students in or tries to support as much as possible in what they do. So how is this done? First and foremost, I noticed that a lot of you are actually using QGIS, which is understandable, open source, for free, click and download. But actually, Esri also offers a lot of software to students in order to, without the high prices, in order to allow you to see, discover and practice and see what it looks like to use our software. And so for student packages, we have there are different ways in how you can gain access to our software in order to experiment with it and see what you can do. Okay, so the first the first one is to get an ArcGIS online trial. So ArcGIS Online is our kind of web option. So rather than having to download your software, you can access it directly from the web. And so that means that with your username and login, you can access it from whichever device that you want. We offer a 21-day trial. There can be 5 users which are attached to an ArcGIS Online. And this means that, let's say you're working on a short-term project, for example, an assignment for university, you're a group of up to 5 people. One of you can produce this GIS content and easily share, or multiple people can be working on the same map at the same time. Okay, I'm having some trouble with Okay, so then if you would like something a bit longer and also a bit more personal, we also offer, and this can be done by students and also for it's in general for general personal use. So even if, for example, next year you are no longer a student, but you would still like to have access to ArcGIS and to be able to use it, then you can also get this personal use license. This will be for 1 year, and it would also include ArcGIS Pro as well as ArcGIS Online, access to the Living Atlas, and also apps. The full list is offered here, so we will offer. We will give you send you a link for this, or you can easily go to the Esri website and just go ArcGIS for personal use, and you will. It's something that is done completely online, so it's very easy for you to get. And then the final, or like our alternative to this, is with the educational institution agreement, and this is something that we offer directly to universities or educational institutions, where depending on the users, we try to give as many users as possible into this. So this is something that there are most universities in Belgium and Luxembourg currently have access to. If your particular institution where you're from doesn't have access to this, or isn't currently a client, then you could we can help you to find the right person and explain the benefits of having this as an educational software. But where they are, so off the top of my head, I know that the VUP, the KU Leuven, the University of Liège, they all have access to the software. And this means that in addition to the apps that we have mentioned, there's the completely full suite. There are also ArcGIS Pro with extensions, meaning that if you want to work with spatial analyst, 3D spatial analyst, so in terms of the analysis of your data, there's more algorithms that are available. And so this is definitely quite beneficial, and you should be able to get it from your universities. Just like you would get any licensed software through your university. In this case, because the person to contact is different for different institutions, we will send a targeted information depending on your institutions. If you don't receive this information from us, or you would like to know who this contact person is from your site, feel free to either to ask in the questions at the end of this webinar, or also to reach out and send us an email. So this is how you can get access to this. Our CEO at the beginning of Frederick at the beginning of this webinar also mentioned the training and the MOOCs, and these are all available on the Esri Academy. So I will try to navigate there right now. Yep. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So if you just go to esri.com/training, you get to the Esri Academy, and here you have a course, the course catalog here, where you have a lot of different courses. Some of them are just in the form of a small video. Others are a bit more interactive. And for example, now there is the MOOC. Currently, there's a MOOC going on, which is the Discover Spatial Data and Spatial Data Analysis. And when you join a MOOC, you are also given software licenses in order to be able to do the exercises within the MOOC. So that is another alternative of getting training as well as licensed software in order for you to work. So I hope that I have showed you a bit the opportunities of what you can in order to actually do something. And now I would like Maxine to play the video that we showed in order to show you a bit more realistically what working with ArcGIS Online would look like and how to access open and publicly available data through there.
Okay, thank you, Rachel, for your very interesting contribution. I think you could intrigue some of the students. Okay, let me just give myself control again about my mouse. Okay, here we go. So I just have to click some buttons here to be able to play the video. And then you won't hear me anymore for a few seconds, but the video will start shortly. So in this video, I want to show you the capabilities of the ArcGIS Online platform. So here I am on the ArcGIS Online portal, and I'm logged in as Maxine Jonkheden. So I can go to my content, or I can go to a new map. Let's say I go to my content. So here I see this folder students data that I created with some web maps. These are only visible by me, but I can also share them with my organization, so Esri Belux in this case, or everyone. Let's say I go to a new map. So this is empty, but I can add some layers. I can add the layers from my computer, from the web, so services, or I can add them from the Living Atlas. So basically, this is ready-to-use global geographic information created by Esri. So let's say I want to add the most recent earthquakes in the world. So this is a feature layer created by Esri. Here I can see all the information about this layer. The most important is that it's created by the Pager program and that it's updated every 5 minutes. So it's a very up-to-date layer. So now I added it to my map and I can see it around the world. But this map is still a little bit boring, so I want to add some other information. Let's say seafloor temperature. Can be quite cool. So this is an imagery layer, also created by Esri. I click on it, I see all the information about it. I even see the spatial reference. So I add it to my map. Wow, okay, so now my map is quite cool. Now, let's say I click this blue dot here. What is it? It's an earthquake of magnitude 4.3, which happened the 15th of March, which is actually quite recent, near Santa Cruz das Flores, Portugal. So, quite cool. You can also just click the seafloor temperature map, and I see the seafloor temperature here. So, recently, like last year, we have a new platform, let's say, a new online map viewer, the beta version. So if I visualize it in this version, it looks a little bit more modern and it has a little bit more capabilities. Let's say these bookmarks. So I created this bookmark, latest earthquake Caribbean, and voila, it zooms automatically to this region in the Caribbean. So again, I click this earthquake, but it actually shows me all the attributes of all the layers on this spot. So in the pop-up, I can go to the next page to see the other information. So this was an earthquake of 7.7, which is quite big. It happened the 28th of January. And this is some additional information. But you can do really a lot with this online map viewer. For example, this is a chart I created in the Netherlands of the topography. Or this is a map of the flood hazards in the US, with the bathymetry of the ocean also visible. You can even visualize 3D online. So this is a building in a mall. If I click the roof, I can also see the attributes. And there's actually quite a cool tool here, which is called Slice. So if I move this slice, I can actually look inside my building, which is quite cool. So there's really a lot you can do here online, but I can also go to my desktop version, so ArcGIS Pro. This is an empty map, and if I go to the catalog, I can actually see all my content on my computer, or I can go to the portal directly because I'm logged in here on my online portal. And I see my map I just created, Earthquake Map World. If I right click, I can add and open, and then it takes a few seconds. And here it is. So I can play around with it in the desktop version, save it again. So that's why we call it a platform. It's very interactive. So I can do a lot with it. So can everyone hear me again? And then I'll continue. Okay, super. So I hope everyone thought the video was interesting and inspiring, let's say, to show you a bit more in reality how to work with these types of software. So that was a demo. So the last thing I wanted to share with you is, you are future GIS professionals, of course. So as future professionals, it's part of something much larger. You are influencing creating the future of our planet, and it's all about realizing a sustainable future that requires more than technology. It requires action, thinking, values, hard work, going all in. So only you can do this. That's the last thing I wanted to share with you. So never underestimate the power of GIS. And then I would like to give the word to my colleague Matthias, who has a very interesting and intriguing use case to share with you about his experience in Africa. So I'm gonna share with Matthias. Just a second, Matthias. I'm coming.
Yes, thank you, Maxine. If everything goes well, I hope you all see my screen now. Let me go into presentation mode. Yeah. Okay. Hi, everyone. Let me first start with introducing myself. Hi, everyone. I'm Matthias Daan. I'm working for Esri Belux. I'm actually the newest addition to the team with Esri Belux. I'm going to give you a little presentation on a very concrete use case of spatial intelligence in the battle against poaching. It's a use case that has a bit of a personal touch, since it's basically telling the story of how I was using GIS at my previous job in a national park in Congo. Let's dive into it. So I'm going to present making use of a story map, which is an Esri tool that Maxine has presented before. So it's basically a way to tell a story making use of a lot of cartography. So it's not a standard PowerPoint presentation as you're used to, but interesting nonetheless. So the story that I would like to bring you actually doesn't start in Central Africa. It actually starts in Central Europe, strangely enough. So it starts right next to the Moldau River. And as you're all interested in cartography, you know that this is the city of Prague. The Moldau lies next to the capital of the Czech Republic, where I did my master's thesis. So I studied for my master program, or where I did my master program rather. This was at the Czech University of Life Sciences. There I decided that I wanted to do something, or that I wanted to work for the management of a Congolese national park. Something very specific, I know, but that's what I was dreaming of a few years ago. So I got in contact with a specific national park in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which was Garamba National Park. And I asked them the simple question: are you guys in need of any specific academic work? As a biologist, I asked them this. They said, yes, in fact, we've got our hands full trying to fight poachers. We've got a few giraffe occurring in the park, and we actually know very little of them. The only thing that we know is that the population is declining very rapidly. So they had poachers coming in from transboundary poachers, as they call them, poachers coming from another country, Central African Republic, South Sudan, people walking hundreds of kilometers just to come and shoot the giraffe that were occurring in the park. So these people would come and shoot the giraffe not for their meat, because they actually thought that since giraffe have blotches, and you get blotches if you have leprosy, that you get leprosy by eating the meat of a giraffe. So they would only come to shoot those giraffe to leave the meat go to waste. They would just cut off the tail, which they would use as a fly whisk. Very stupid situation, actually. So I went to Garamba National Park in the northeast of the Democratic Republic of Congo, and I looked at those giraffe. Let's give a bit of an introduction into the taxonomy of giraffe before we hit off with the GIS part of the work. So just a quick introduction, a giraffe is not just a giraffe. Before we all thought that it were just all one species and 9 different subspecies. The Giraffe Conservation Foundation, they did genetic research and they found that it's actually 4 different species and 7 different subspecies rather. So this genetic research actually pointed out that the genetic difference between each 2 giraffe species is actually bigger than the genetic difference that exists between a polar bear and a brown bear. So, which are 2 species that we are all aware of that are clear different distinct species. So the same for giraffe. So a giraffe is not just any giraffe. So the little green dots that you see in the northeast of the Democratic Republic of Congo is the park where I was going to, Garamba National Park. So you see that it's super isolated from all other giraffe populations. So it's important to know that we need to protect this population. We can't go this last relict population, as we call it as a biologists. We can't let it go to waste. So I asked the park, what do you know about the giraffe in the park? They didn't know much about, except for the fact that they were being poached out. They didn't know much. They didn't know how many individuals they had. They didn't know anything about the males, females, how many there were, the migration patterns. So I started collecting data for which I used GIS. That's where I not got first into contact with GIS, because I had some GIS courses at the university, but to be totally honest with you all, it was for me a bit vague. It was never really concrete how I could use GIS. But here in this park, I got a very first-hand concrete experience with GIS and how to use it. So we, to collect data, we use these GPS loggers as the harness models actually, as you can see on the photo. So it are basically just transmitters that send through positions at a given interval. So I started collecting this data that allowed me to get great insights into the habits of these giraffes. So I started looking at where are these giraffes moving to? What are their seasonal patterns? How are they behaving between different groups? Specifically, I also looked at home range calculation. So before I tell you more about the home range calculation, here's another insight that we got. We understood that it's not all that not all the giraffe were even connected. There were actually different subpopulations, subgroups within the park that weren't per se connected with each other. Some were limited by a river, others were just spatially isolated. All very important insights for the conservation of this species. So a last thing I want to say about these giraffe, because my presentation isn't about giraffe, it's about GIS. But the last thing I want to say about it is that we all worked it out with some GIS tools, kernel density estimation and continuous time movement modeling, and we wrote a paper about it. Most interesting to me was that even though these giraffes are living in a very humid and seemingly ideally habitat, the home range was still the second biggest in the world. Only the giraffe occurring in the Namib Desert had a bigger home range. So this clearly showed that there was something wrong with the habitat, or with the park at least.
Thank you, Matthias. That was really interesting. It's amazing what GIS can do, right? So I can imagine some students are busy with their education and using GIS and not really having any idea what to use it for later when you graduated. At least I remember I had that feeling. Well, I think this is a strong use case of Matthias that proves that GIS can really do a lot and make a difference in the world. So thanks again, Matthias. So okay, this was our presentation for today. Again, I want to thank you for joining. And of course, we are open to questions now in the chat, or you can always ask us questions later to our email address that I'll show you again on the slides. It's unfortunate that we couldn't do the student day live here at WEML, of course, but this is not the last that you hear from us. We will definitely postpone the Students' Day and do it at a different timing, and we will let you know in time when it is. But of course, don't hesitate to contact us, and we will let you know if any news is available or if there are more webinars or more demonstrations. So just let us know if you have any questions. So like Carlos says, if you have questions, don't hesitate, or if you feel more comfortable of emailing us, of course, that's also possible. So I'll keep the session open for a few minutes. I really hope we could inspire a lot of you and show you the capabilities of ArcGIS. Also, don't hesitate to share your feelings about our webinar. You think it was interesting, if you want more demos, or if you thought it was boring, can also be whatever you want for improvements in the future. Please share as well. It can only help us to inspire you and inform you better next time.
As I said, there are some students coming from Africa on the line now, and we had a very interesting and inspiring presentation that was done by all of you. But I want to mention with regards to the presentations concerning Africa, if those people coming from Africa would have some questions or even feedback, please don't hesitate. No one having any questions. By the way, I also heard from for those students from ArcGIS Plantain that some of you will make a kind of a work now based on this presentation. So if you have specific questions.
I also see the question of a few students, if we can share the presentation. Yeah, I guess that's no problem at all, Carlo. We can share the slides.
No, for sure. For sure we shall do that. Yeah. We shall first share the presentation. Second, I will send an email with those coordinates of people who can grant logins and passwords for those who have site licenses. And we shall also plan a student day as was planned, by the way, previously. Okay, I want to thank you all for being present. It was really, and my colleagues who made this webinar and the presentations that they have prepared. I found them very interesting and inspiring. So thanks to you all, guys, for being there and spending some time with us.
Yeah, I also want to thank my colleagues for the nice teamwork. Okay, so definitely we will send this recording and the slides to everyone. We have your email addresses, so no problem at all. And I hope we can talk to you later or see each other later. And thanks again for joining. See you, everyone.
See you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. Thank you, Maxine.